Lee, you touched it a little bit, but let's put this in real terms for the residents of Fayette County. You mentioned fine arts and stuff. What could Fayette County stand to lose in their school systems if this happened?
It would be, well, you mentioned the fine arts, so you're talking band programs, you're talking chorus, you're talking art, strings, you're talking probably PE supplements, you're talking locally funded teachers. We are fortunate enough in Fayette County that we are below the class size limits pretty much in so many of our classrooms, and we're able to do that because we locally supplement so many of our teachers, correct, John? So you would see class sizes most likely rise up to the maximum amount we could have under the state. Does that make sense? We're following that? Parapros, we receive funding for parapros for our kindergarten students. We do not get them for first graders. We do not receive state money for first grade parapros. But Fayette County provides first grade parapros. That would probably be on the cutting board. The nurses in our schools is another program we have to take a serious look at. Let's see, what am I missing? What
Transportation.
Transportation. That's another. You had to bring that one up, didn't you? No, transportation is another area where we would not have the luxury of providing quite as door-to-door services we tend to provide here in Fayette County. That's a joke going back from a couple of years ago.
I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that a little bit. But I think that some of the, there's just a lot of, we're all about stability in public education. I just can't imagine trusting our general fund year to year on how many pieces of furniture are going to be sold at Haverty's at the pavilion. So just put it in a real perspective. I mean, the luxury items will be the first to go, and we're gonna have to cut. We're gonna have to cut a chorus class because our economy had a downturn in Christmas spending. To me, it's the instability that really worries me. Putting all your eggs in one basket with the variable tax such as sales tax. We are blessed in Fayette County that we have a strong tax base. We have a very affluent population in county for the most part. Most of the members of the GEC do have high property values in their county. The school children in Fayette and starting the state of Georgia each deserve a fair, deserve a quality education, and we sympathize with the poor counties in Georgia. But we think the answer is to look at the overall funding mechanism for the state and the formula in which they distribute funds statewide, and not just piecemeal it and propose to take away property taxes to get equalization. We think the whole thing needs to be looked at in as a whole, and that was the whole purpose of the governor's task force on education, which I understand there's been results have come back in. There's been criticism because it didn't really come back with any sweeping changes or any clear-cut change to the way the education formula works. It just had some suggestions on some alternatives. That's my high-level view of it, John, and y'all may know differently. But that was the purpose of that task force, the governor's task force. So does that make sense? I'm just trying to put things in perspective. Fayette County will be one of the counties that has the most to lose if this proposal goes forward, and that was actually the dollar amount of what this would affect, how this would affect counties across Georgia was calculated when this proposal was first being discussed, and I know that we were definitely in the negative. In the way we understood it at the time. I know it's morphed and changed into a lot of different things.
You're talking about under the Great Plan?
Yes, under the Great Plan, sorry.
And I know the Great Plan has changed.
Right.
And changed. I mean, it started out with all government entities.
Exactly.
Now it has come down to school systems. At one point in his plan, Richardson was talking about you're not, this is him talking, you're not going to lose any money because you'll get back what you've always put in. that doesn't seem possible if he's trying to equalize. Do you see it working that way?
No, not at all. I don't see how that could be valid. And in fact, you know, several academic types have come out in opposition or pointing out the flaws in this proposal. So there's lots of publications, and there's been lots of editorials in the papers that have.
So you don't feel confident with his promise of the plan that you'll get back what you put in?
And I'll tell you why. History repeats itself. We wouldn't be so uncomfortable with this if the state had fully funded what they signed up to under the state constitution. We've not received the funding that technically by law we were supposed to have received all these years. So if we had a good track record here, and I'm not saying it's the current members of Under the Gold Dome that have done this, but I'm saying it's past sins of the fathers are coming in, and that's why it's important for us to have control over our own destiny. And it really, and it also diminishes as a board member and local control, the local election of your own citizens. It sort of slaps you in the face that they've targeted the schools now. The mayors and the councils and the commissioners are all put back cold, but now we're targeting the school board and the school officials.
Has there been any explanation of why they pulled off the other governments and went to, or other entities and stayed with schools?
I think probably because of the dollar impact. The dollar impact of property taxes, mainly for education, is my guess, and also the squeaky wheel theory.